chance, hasn't he? Especially with the safety car start, it gives him already advantage number one. So, yeah, it will be difficult for anyone to get past him, I think, with the spray that we're going to see until that attack mode starts to be activated.
Yeah, I wonder now if the drivers try to burn more energy during the safety car, because that's an opportunity for them to burn the energy to reach the 60% earlier and open up the window for the pit boost.
I think also to get tyre temperature as well and get their tyre pressures up and in the correct window.
Yeah, which in normal case you don't do, because you want to save as much energy as possible on a dry race, because we even practice to really be very efficient during safety car, not to consume. But yeah, here in this case you want to burn a bit more because the race is not energy costly.
Yeah, it's not so sensitive, is it, at this point for the drivers? There's a lot more freestyle involved at this under this safety car.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 32 kilowatt hours of energy for the drivers. They'll be taking on an extra 3.85 kilowatt hours in the pit boost phase of the race as well. This is through turn 9 here. You can see the red tarmac, actually incredibly grippy there, but a fast and fierce corner in the dry. Even in the wet, we saw drivers sliding around like a dog on a polished floor. So we'll see what it's like once we get racing conditions underway. We understand from some communications here in commentary that we're likely to get a couple of laps behind the safety car, and then the probability is that we will have a standing start, which is music to our ears.
We can pray for it. That would be a brilliant way to start this race.
Maybe they've listened to us. And
yeah, well, 2 laps fewer then here in this race as it stands for now. But you can see the drivers making their way around. This is through turn 16, where we've seen quite a few grazing the wall on the outside.
But what's great is there doesn't seem to be that much standing water. That was the main problem that we had in the qualifying session where it was cancelled. So without the standing water, we're looking really good here for a nice fun race.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Down towards turn 1, caught a lot of drivers out in practice this morning. Let's see what it looks like when the lights go out, if we do indeed get that standing start, and 22 of the world's best barrel down towards that first corner. This is through turns 2 and turn 3. This was a big jump last year, if you remember watching that race. They've actually reprofiled and actually tarmacked that corner now, because the drivers and the teams were complaining not only about the bad backs, but also about the batteries as well. They were getting some related issues with that, so that's why they've decided to reprofile that first sector entirely.
yeah, it's not the kind of thing you're trying to develop in your reliability test during the test of for the manufacturer's development. So yeah, it's the powertrains are not built for that. The last time we took air in another racetrack, that was in Rome. That was quite impressive as well. But yeah, good that they fixed it.
Yeah, no doubt. Into turns 10 and 11, very tight and twisty chicane. As we look at Taylor Barnard making his way through in 4th place. I have to say, he's going to be ecstatic that he's so far up the grid, given how yesterday went for him. Lost 25 minutes of running in FP1, courtesy of that heavy impact into the barrier. The team working very hard to replace quite a few parts on the car ahead of practice this morning. Meanwhile, you might be wondering why Andretti are quite so far down, as one of the that's Oliver Rowland's daughter there, isn't it? As a matter of fact, in the Nissan pit box, watching his dad race on. But just going back to my point about the two Andrettis, Nico Müller and Jake Dennis, we understand that the team were quite busy focusing on wet weather setup this morning, and just got caught out by the conditions and so on, and that's why they weren't able to set quick lap times, and that is why they are mired right down in 21st and 22nd place.
Well, I heard from a couple of other teams that some of them thought that the race would actually be started in championship order. So I'm not sure if it was just also a misunderstanding of the sporting regulations also for some of the teams that aren't as far up the grid as we would expect.
Yeah, we've just had confirmation that it will be a standing start then for the drivers, which is fantastic news. Tommaso Volpe, meanwhile, he was delighted here 12 months ago when Oliver Rowland stuck it on pole position.
He looks rather nervous for a chap who's got 2 cars in the top 3.
Focused.
Well, who knows what's going to happen when the lights go out, and crucially what will the order be when the checkered flag falls. How do you play this from a driver's perspective, Andre? You sat there in the car, you've got all this anticipation, you're now behind the safety car, but it's a step into the unknown in terms of the conditions, the pit boost and so on and so forth. How do you manage it?
Well, you're communicating with your team, so everything, every scenario has been thought through. Like you see now, all the drivers are trying to create a lot of wheel spin to get temperature in the tires and yeah, maybe burn some energy, but mostly temperature in the tires for that standing start. And it's an opportunity for everybody to jump someone's. If you get those few degrees extra temperature, will make the tire a bit softer, meaning a little bit more grip.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking there at Dan Ticktum making his way through in 7th place. He was a standout performer in Monaco a fortnight ago. Led in FP1, led in FP2, and they just got unlucky in qualifying on the Saturday to not progress forwards from the quarterfinals of qualifying, and then actually on the Sunday got through into the duels again, but a mistake from the team meant that he went out in the duels with 300 kilowatts of power instead of the usual 350, and of course no four-wheel drive in the wet conditions as well, and it cost him dear.
Yeah, that is a huge loss. But
attention
yeah,
everyone, this is race control speaking. Safety car in this lap. We will do standing start.
Hopefully everyone finds their positions, because it's not so easy to see in the wet on this new asphalt, which seems quite shiny. But yeah, hopefully they will park in the right place.
It's going to be a big challenge actually for the teams and the systems, because I don't think they've done that many wet starts.
Well, they've done one at the end of FP2, so the advantage is that on four-wheel drive and 350 kilowatts for the start. No, it's four-wheel drive at the start. Sorry. With only 300 kilowatts, it's full traction control. So let's see who have the best systems. I think in the dry there's not that many differences, but in the wet it's definitely going to be something tricky for the teams to set the right amount of grip. When we start a race, the engineer tells you, okay, go grip 3, for example. It's different for every team, but yeah, they will have to guess a little bit.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see who has managed to time this right. We have had one wet race in Formula E, and a bit like London buses, 2 have come along at once, because we had a wet race last time out in Monaco on the Sunday, and now the very next race, it is, as you can see, very wet out there for the drivers. So safety car is now coming in at the end of this lap. Oliver Rowland will lead the grid round to their starting positions. We're on board here with Norman Nato, his teammate, who lines up directly behind him in 3rd position. Nato's been on great form so far this weekend, as the drivers now crawl their way around the final corner and make their way on to the starting grid for the first time here this weekend. So we've done 4 laps under the safety car, haven't we now? So presumably we'll get some added laps on at the end of the race, courtesy of the fact that we've been under safety car conditions for a good few minutes. But there is Oliver Rowland, Edo Mortara in the Mahindra lining up directly alongside. Norman Nato, then Taylor Barnard. And it's Anticipi Maserati MSG team as the final drivers make their way onto the grid. I don't know about them on the grid and in the pit box, James, but I'm nervous here in the commentary box.
I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this turn 1, turn 2, turn 3. It's so tight down there. They're going to be arriving so fast. It's going to be super exciting.
It certainly is then. So there is Jake Dennis right at the back of the field. The green flag is waved at the back. When the checkered flag falls, who is going to be fast and who is going to be furious as we wait for the 5 red lights to come on. And Formula E is go in Tokyo. Oliver Rowland gets a nice start, not bad also from Norman Nato. Look at Mortara chopping over on the Nissan driver, nearly 3 abreast down into the first corner. Who's got the lead? It's Oliver Rowland. Nato's on the outside, Barnard's on the inside of Mortara, and side-by-side action there as Max Günther was really sideways through the first couple of corners. Barnard getting ruffled out there and trying to be challenged by the Nissan of Norman Nato. One of the Envisions of Sebastian Buemi goes really wide as they're struggling for grip. Side by side still between Nato and Mortara through into the right-hander. Mortara's going to lose out here and possibly be under threat from Dan Ticktum as they come through. And now the 2 Envisions also lining astern as well. One of the Envisions, I think that was Buemi, yeah, who's gone in for attack mode early here, isn't he?
He wants to get into the lead of this race as soon as possible.
There's so many places to be gained where the pack is so close together, so this is the strategy that they opted.
Yeah, so 8 minutes of attack mode for the drivers in this race, and Buemi, Costa, as well as Evans are all trying to cycle through the field while it's as bunched up as possible.
Yeah, also the quicker you can get to the front, the more you can see, better visibility, less chance of a mistake, so it's quite an interesting approach by those guys.
Certainly is. Oliver Rowland, Team Radio.
So Buemi activated 4 minutes, is down to P8.
P6
Gap
already.
to him, 4 seconds.
So it's 4 seconds. I'm assuming he's saying that's the time he lost.
He's 4 seconds behind at the moment, and we've seen 4 seconds a lap faster in these conditions with the attack mode compared to the standard mode in free practice 2.
Well, look at him now. He's all over the back of Norman Nato, and it's going to be an easy pass as he comes out of the final corner. Four-wheel drive traction and an extra 50 kilowatts of power. Buemi is up and into 4th place then, ahead of the Nissan.
Yeah, it's very smart to do that because you also have a lot more gain because there's no tire temperature yet. So with 4-wheel drive you get even more because potentially later during the race everyone has got a bit more grip. So the delta you can achieve with attack mode is less.
Mortara's in, Frijns is in, Vergne is in for their attack mode as well. Different deployments in strategy there for De Vries. He's gone for 2 minutes of attack mode, so it's the other Mahindra of De Vries that's gone in instead of Mortara, I apologise, as Vandoorne cycled down a few places courtesy of his first attack mode deployment here.
It's going to be super exciting for this race.
Vandoorne now in that pit boost window. You can see that indicated on the left-hand side of your screen.
Barnard 40-second gap, 7 points.
Stop talking to me in the corners.
High level of concentration going on there by Oliver Rowland.
Yeah, we all don't like that. When you're focused in the corner, you want the engineer to talk to you in a straight line, but it's not so easy. The engineer wants to pass you some important information, and yeah, here in the wets, you need all your focus.
Vandoorne, the first driver into the pits then, so he was in that pit boost window. He's obviously expended more energy to those around him, courtesy of that early attack mode deployment. It's going to cycle him right towards the back of the head of Barnard in 4th, De Vries in 5th position in the 2nd of the Mahindras, who did a fantastic job keeping the likes of Barnard and Nato behind whilst they were in attack mode earlier on. And let's see whether De Vries boxes at the end of this lap. No, he decides to carry on. That's okay. He's got between 60 and 40% state of charge, so he doesn't have to do it necessarily on this lap. He can wait another time and go again.
Mortara also benefiting now from having good visibility, and you just said fastest lap with 28.1, which is, yeah, 2-3 tenths faster than what Rowland did.
Oh no, Maximilian Günther's come to a stop. Yellow flag is out. That's down at turn 13. And if that's not going to be able to be recovered quickly, or if he can't get the car going, that could be absolutely critical. We could get a full course yellow. Would that pay dividends for the likes of, I'm thinking, Nick De Vries, because he's in that pit boost window. He's allowed to take it either under a full course yellow or a safety car.
That's exactly what we were talking about. So if I would be him, I would go in there now, and that would have been the ultimate luck. Oh, red flag.
Red flag is out. So the race has been suspended then, because the car is red, we understand. Not the first time we've seen that. We had it with Jake Dennis back in Sao Paulo. Picture at the moment in the pit lane. Mortara alongside Oliver Rowland as the red lights are on, the lights go out, and we get the restart underway then here. And who gets the best drag? Down towards the first corner with all-wheel drive traction. Look at Mortara. He's going for the lead down into the first corner, but he's not quite close enough on Oliver Rowland. They filter through the first few places in the positions that they started. So it's Rowland from Mortara, from Buemi, side by side here with Frijns versus Nato, who's going to get shuffled out almost towards the wall on the exit of turn 3. He's now side by side with the Envision going through turn 4. Nobody goes for attack mode at the start of this race, and you can see there as well that Johnny Vergne is trying to get involved in the action here with Sam Bird very close behind. So Rowland it is that leads as they come out of that tight and twisty first sector. Dennis has done his pit boost stop. He's now out of the pit lane and he's gone for his first attack mode deployment. So he wants to try and close that deficit down to everybody else in front of him as much as he possibly can whilst they're all bunched up on this restart.
Yeah, very smart move there from Dennis and the Andretti team. It looks like they could end up with the podium here.
Rowland with a big snap of oversteer there through turn 15, manages to keep it facing in the right direction and keeps it out of the wall, but he knows he needs to push on as much as he possibly can going through these first couple of laps to build out an advantage, to give himself that window of opportunity to hold on to the lead. How much clear track have they got in front of them? Yeah, they're looking okay. It's got about 1.7, 1.8 seconds to Mitch Evans. There is Mitch Evans just up the road at the moment. Rowland continuing to pound round and set in fastest lap. He's now down into the 1 minute 26s. That was a second and a half quicker than Eder Mortara last time around. Frijns now gets the fastest lap. He goes into the 1 minute 25. Track conditions, of course, improving all the time. So Rowland now into the pits as well as Eder Mortara at the start of lap 24 then.
From what I understand, that's hit 2.1 seconds to Barnard, who they're racing for. Barnard's been setting some very fast laps. I've been keeping an eye on his lap times, and he's been closing the gap to Stoffel Vandoorne. So he was clearly coming into a threatening position for Oliver Rowland.
Yeah, Barnard's looking quite good here, as is as we said, Stoffel Vandoorne as well. Look at this move being made on the inside. That's Pascal Vergne versus the sole remaining Jaguar of Nick Cassidy for 4th place. Vergne in attack mode with all-wheel drive and 350 kilowatts. Made that look nice and easy down into the first turn. As we wait for Rowland to exit out of the pit lane and resume the race then. And what's it going to look like for him? He had enough of an advantage over Mortara to be quite comfortable. But what about the rest of the field? Have they been able to use whatever track time they had to their advantage? Here comes Mortara out of the pit lane. It's going to be behind Taylor Barnard then here.
Yeah, Barnard's been putting in some stonking laps. He's been out there really pushing on and clearly making up some good ground.
But Mortara's got an attack mode deployment left, so that could pay dividends for him, because if it's about 3-4 seconds or so, the gap between them, he could use that to his advantage later on.
Now you see Vandoorne is ahead of Rowland.
Yeah, so Vandoorne has been able to cycle through. It's working out nicely, and he's got an attack mode deployment. He's laughing all the way to the bank at this point in the race is Stoffel Vandoorne.
There's about 25-26 seconds in the lead of this race as the pit leader. We still have cars, 5 cars in front of him that still need to make their stops.
Remember, be careful stopping on the marks here.
No, between Pascal Vergne and Nick Cassidy. Are they going to come into the pits though at the end of this one? Cassidy's got now 10 seconds left of his attack mode deployment remaining, and Vergne peels off into the pit lane then and releases Cassidy into some clear air. So can Cassidy use that to his advantage? He now needs the in-lap of his life to leapfrog the Kiwi after he's made his pit boost stop.
Or an incident.
Or an incident, yeah, exactly.
Not from him.
So we've got 8 laps now remaining in this one. Predictions, gentlemen, what do you think? Who's in the pound seats aside from Stoffel Vandoorne?
Yeah, it would be wrong to just pick Stoffel. No, I think that there's been a great performance from Taylor Barnard. I think we're going to see a big fight between Edo Mortara, Sebastian Buemi, catching Taylor Barnard as this race comes to a conclusion.
He's got a nice, comfortable cushion over the rest of the field, but has he made a mistake down into the first corner? A few drivers have gone deep, and he went deep there as well.
Not too much of a time.
Oh, no, he spun it. He spun it at turn 2, Stoffel Vandoorne. And he hit into the wall.
I mean, this is the problem when you got 25 seconds of lead. You know, maybe you're not drive a second a lap slower than anyone else.
He lost 5 seconds on that lap.
Rowland's still got a chance then.
Yeah, Cassidy's in his pit boost stop then here as well. Where's he going to emerge in relation to Pascal Vergne? What was the in-light lap there for Nick Cassidy? Not bad from him, but not brilliant there either. Be touch and go between the two.
I doubt Rowland will be able to catch Vandoorne if Vandoorne is not making any mistakes.
Here's Cassidy versus Vergne then. Side by side they go. Has Cassidy been able to cycle ahead of Vergne? He has. So nicely done there for Nick Cassidy. Who's his next target? It'll be Nico Müller, who's right up the road. But of course, Müller doesn't have an attack mode deployment remaining. Cassidy has got 4 minutes, 2 minutes greater duration than Pascal Vergne. So that's nice for Cassidy there. He's done as much as he possibly can in the circumstances here.
And Jean-Eric Vergne, but he's in a quite a tight group with Costa and Frijns in front of him. He's got a good chance to get into the top 8 here with Jean-Eric.
Mortara is also looking good for a podium because he has 6 minutes left of attack mode, and Barnard doesn't have any left. So yeah, he should be theoretically in 3rd place if he gets to pass him.
Yeah, I wonder if Stoffel will be the first person to win the Formula E race with having half spin.
Well, there's actually a good possibility he could win a Formula E race with the largest ever winning margin in Formula E. He goes in for his final attack mode deployment now. The previous largest winning margin was Lucas Di Grassi at Putrajaya in 2015. That was 13.8 seconds. Currently, Vandoorne has got nearly 20 seconds. Mortara then here. And this is going to be quite close and frantic. Buemi was a second quicker in that first sector, and now he is all over the gearbox here of the Mahindra. He's bringing himself right back into play and possibly bringing himself into position for a podium.
But Mortara is strange because he doesn't...
I don't think he has attack.
Yeah, exactly.
So the lights are illuminated, but has he got the 350? Makes it stick. That's brave and brilliant from Jean-Eric Vergne. Up through to 9th position for the Frenchman. Fantastic.
I didn't think we'd see a move there on the inside, let alone around the outside. What an unbelievable move by Jean-Eric.
Amazing job from Jean-Eric Vergne. His next target will be Nick de Vries. He's got 20 seconds left of attack mode, so it'll be a tall order for him. But nothing is out of the realms of possibility. Meanwhile, Stoffel Vandoorne has controlled this one pretty commandingly. We've seen one blot on his copybook, which was a spin down at turn 2. Go across the timing line. One more lap to go. 2.5 kilometres separating Rowland, Barnard and Buemi from a potential podium finish. 3 drivers, only 2 positions available. Who gets it? sector we go, and Barnard trying to find a way through and almost into the back there of Oliver Rowland as we come through into the fastest part of the circuit then, into turn 9. You can't find a way through there. And Rowland is quite close on energy, so is he having to back off in the closing stage of this one as Barnard has a big snap of oversteer through the right-hander?
I think he's really struggling on energy here. I do think he's going to have to lift before turn 16, and I wonder if that's going to give Taylor a sniff on a very difficult corner.
So this is now or never time here for Taylor Barnard. You can see him harrying the car, sliding all over the place as we come down in towards turn 15. He's not close enough to make a lunge through there. Meanwhile, we see the Maserati of Jake Hughes up the road. Here is his teammate though, Stoffel Vandoorne. He's not had a victory since Monaco in 2022, but he does so now. Stoffel Vandoorne wins on the streets of Tokyo here for Maserati MSG. 2 wins in a row for that outfit here in Japan. Absolutely phenomenal, commanding drive as Rowland does hold on for second place by the skip. Well, hopefully we'll be able to hear there from Stoffel Vandoorne. Try again, Andre, see if you can get through to him.
Stoffel, Andre here, félicitations. Super race, amazing strategy. How did you manage to burn all that energy at the beginning of the race to put yourself in a good pit stop window position?
Quite well from your days racing and managing various teams in Formula E. You must be delighted for him as well.
Unbelievable performance, and what a great role from the engineer there, Thibaut, as well. Worked very close with him over the years, and yeah, stunning.
Vandoorne to the delight of the crowd here in Tokyo. The first time the Belgian driver has held the winner's trophy in 49 races, and a very well-deserved performance for him. And now time to run and cover as the champagne sprays here in Monte Carlo. What a fantastic race, Jake. Really enjoyed that one.
It was an unbelievable race. Twists and turns from every different direction. Beautiful to watch, and an amazing strategy that played out to perfection.
Absolutely. Some drivers are going to be a little bit disappointed. I'm thinking of the likes of Mortara, unlucky with that technical issue at the end of the race, being denied a podium.
Extremely unlucky.